asked about this, but the experience in Montverde last year obviously accomplished a lot, at the prep level here in state. It's probably an obvious answer, but what's different when you get into that setting? Obviously the competitiveness, the competitive level, and what do you feel like you got out of it?
Yeah, I think the competitiveness, as you said, was one of the biggest things for me. And then just being away for that year really got me ready just, to be in college, reliving out of college, stuff like that. And then just traveling, the scouting reports, the weights, everything like that, all the, detailed stuff that you don't really have at some levels of high school, we had there, and it's, closer to college. So it's been really good.
Is that what maybe prepares you the most? I think people often think it's the exposure to really high-level players, and I'm sure that's part of it too, but is that maybe the lifestyle, the idea of how to manage your day, how to structure things so you make sure you get all your responsibilities met? You talk about film, just those little details. Is that maybe the biggest difference for you in what makes this transition easier?
Yeah, obviously at first at a place like Montverde, and even coming here, like the skill of all the players and stuff you got to get used to, like the physicality in practice, just carving out your role, stuff like that on the floor. And then, like I said, just like living somewhere else and like going through your day, like getting all your responsibilities, like you said. So I think that was good for me last year.
Have there been moments, whether it's on the floor or somewhere else, that you almost kind of think that was easier for me because I had the Montverde experience, essentially?
Absolutely. Just moving here, I'm obviously a little bit of homesickness last year when you first leave. Coming here, there's none of that. It's just obviously the physicality and stuff the first few days, learning everything was tough, but now it just feels like basketball again. And obviously you're still trying to get better at everything, but it just feels like basketball. You come into practice and then you're trying to get better and carve out your role.
When coaches talk to you about your role, both short and long term, what are the things he really emphasizes wanting you to work on specifically?
Yeah, obviously just keep repping out my shot, get a bunch of reps in on that, and then just learn his system, inside out. Obviously, Tucker has been with him; he's pretty good at all that. Connor was with him for a few years, so all of us are new, but we're still trying to learn that, and then that same thing for me going forward.
Thanks, Trent. Yeah, appreciate it.
Coming from Indiana, you're the lone guy on this roster that's actually from Indiana. Have you kind of tried to establish what it means to wear the jersey?
Yeah, a little bit. I've kind of told these guys some recruiting stories, coming up here, just being recruited for, 3-4 years now. And then obviously me choosing to come here is super cool to me. And then hopefully, all these guys know that too.
You think you're getting across to him?
Yeah, I think so.
How has Connor helped you? I know his brother went here. Has he kind of been a factor in that too, kind of just saying what this means?
Yeah, a little bit, like you said, Connor. And then we got a lot of other older guys. So, learning from them. And then, just obviously all of us chose Indiana for a reason, chose to come with Coach DeVries and his staff. So, we're all having fun so far this summer, and then we're excited for Puerto Rico.
How do you think you're fitting in off the court? Kind of, obviously classes haven't started, but are you ready for college life? I guess you experienced that a little bit last year.
Yeah, being away at Montverde kind of got me a little bit ready for college, just being away from home, stuff like that. And then taking a few summer classes right now online, so it's not just all basketball right now for me. So, having to manage classes and basketball, stuff like that has been pretty good so far.
How do you feel physically matching up against some of these older college guys?
Yeah, obviously everyone's pretty physical. It's obviously the Big Ten. It's going to be super physical. It's one of the most physical conferences in college. Coming here so far, we're lifting a lot. I think I've gained a little bit of muscle, gained a little bit of body weight, so stuff like that, and then just trying to be physical as I can on the court.
Thanks, Trent.
Yeah.